All right, here comes the next section. At the top of your notes, put in 1-3, integers and absolute value. Okay, you get that writing while I get my pen and stuff ready. Okay, and as you know, the next screen, I always like us to focus in on what our learning target is going to be. So on the next screen, we'll start out with I can. Okay. All right, so this one is going to say I can. We're going to say evaluate. And well, actually, let's do this. Sorry. Let's say I can compare and order integers. That's the first thing we're doing today. Compare and order integers. And their absolute values. Okay, there you go. So I can compare and order integers as well as their absolute values. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about these things. We've got a few vocab words I want to make sure we have clear, and then we'll get going. It's a lot of examples today, and they'll go pretty quickly. Alrighty, so here we go. Let's look at the next screen here. There are 4 vocab words that I want you to become familiar with today and to write down. So the first one is opposite. And here is what I want you to put down for opposites. One way to look at this is that opposite numbers are the same exact distance from 0. So when we're looking at a number line, we'll see that they're the same distance away. Okay? The second thing, or on the other side of 0, that's another way to think of it. So if I was going to draw a picture here, and you have a number line where 0 is in the middle, okay, and I go out here, 1, 2, 3. Here's positive 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. There's negative 4. We say that they're opposites, okay? Same distance from 0. They're on the other side of 0. Typically, one of them is positive, one's negative. And of course, except for 0, which is smack dab in the middle, and 0 is its own opposite. So that's what opposites are. All right. Next, if we look at this term, it says additive inverse or inverses. These basically are 2 numbers that add up to equal 0. In other words, honestly, additive inverse is a fancy word that has the same meaning basically as opposites. When you add them together, you get 0. So if I have 7 and negative 7, those 2 basically wipe each other out. They're the inverse of each other. They go to 0. That's what that means. All right, let's take a look at what else we've got for some vocabulary terms here. Hold on. Kind of losing my spot here. So I get this up here. That'll be a little easier. All right, so we got opposites. We got integer or additive inverses. Now it's integers, okay? And here's what I want you to say about integers. Integers is a whole set of numbers, and I'm going to kind of rewrite it myself on a new page here, okay? Here's what I want you to think of when you think of an integer. Okay? It's a set of numbers, okay? Specifically, it's the whole numbers. The whole numbers look like this. Make this list 0, 1, 2, 3, ... Those are whole numbers. Start with 0 and go up by the whole numbers. But it's not just that. Otherwise, we'd just say, hey, they're the whole numbers. But when I talk about integers, it's the whole numbers and their opposites. Aha. So, as I look at my list, here's 0. 0 is its own opposite. 1 has an opposite. It happens to be negative 1. 2 has an opposite. It happens to be -2. 3 has an opposite. It happens to be -3, and so on. We can make our dots go to the left to indicate infinity in the negative direction. Dots to the right means it goes on to infinity in the positive direction. Okay, the last, no, I guess so what we're going to do now is look at some comparisons. And you just need to get familiar with what the number line always looks at, realizing 0 is like the great divider. Here's where +4 would be. Here's where -4 would be. Whichever number is furthest to the right wins, which means in this case, you get 4. Let's look at another one. Ooh, -15 and -9. All right, visualize this. Here's 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10, -11, 12, 13, 14. Here's -15. Aha, guess what? -9 is further to the right, which means it's the bigger number because the -15 is further down in negative land. These two, compare which one. Draw a picture if you need to and start counting backwards. -4 is bigger than -11. Okay, Smarty, you got the hang of this now. Let's see if you can put these numbers in order from least to greatest. Here's our list. Well, I know 0's in the middle somewhere, and I got to find the most negative number first, and that is going to be -8. Then will come -5. Then comes -3. Then it'll be 0, 2, and finally, last but not least, 6. Okay, how about this one? Oh, okay, let's look here. -5 looks to be the smallest. Then comes -3, -2, -1. I don't have a 0 on this list. Keep going. +2, +4. Perfect. Let's see. Now we've got to talk about what this term absolute value means. Here's what it means. Absolute value happens to refer to a distance, okay? It's a distance. So when you measure it, you're thinking how far we're going from here to here. And specifically, we're always talking about measuring from 0 on a number line. And you're just telling me how many units away you are, okay? How far you are from 0 on a number line. It's always a positive number or 0. And it has a specific symbol, these two long vertical lines, and then we usually write some kind of number in between. So what does this look like and how do you evaluate things with absolute value? Well, for example, this one. The absolute value is of 8 equals, what does that equal? Well, here's what happens. I'm asking you how far away is 8 from 0 on a number line? I'm this many units away, 8 units. We don't think in terms of positive or negative for distance. That's why I said absolute value is always going to be a positive number or 0. So the absolute value of 8 is 8 because it's 8 units away from 0. Look at another one. What's the absolute value of -12? Well, if you think about where -12 is on the number line, it's down here. How far away is that from 0? That's 12 units, +12. Okay? We don't think about positive and negative with distance. All right. So now, if I'm asking you to compare things with absolute value symbols, first, let's do each side. The absolute value of -3 is +3. The absolute value of 11 stays 11. Notice it doesn't switch. These are always going to end up being positive. Now, which one is bigger, 3 or 11? Well, it's 11. So I have to put a less than sign. So the answer for this one would be less than. Next, what about these two? Pause the video and see if you get the right answer. This is +9. This stays +9. Those are equal. How about doing some operations with them instead of just comparing? This equals +3.